Okay guys, finally we get to turn 7 of my playback of my learning game, or practice game I should say, with a very strong opponent, John Sharp. And I learned a lot from this, and I've learned a lot and showed you a lot of my mistakes. Turn number 7, I have a lot of power. I got to come in and grab as much as I can to try and take over the rest of the map here and bring these points back into my favor. So we'll see how well I'm going to do on that. I apologize for the delay in getting this to you. Some things have happened where I couldn't film this right away and finish it up, but I promise the last turn will be coming quickly, because that one ends pretty fast actually. So let's get to it and check out turn number 7. Okay, so let's check out our patrollers here. We have some patrollers in the Japanese island, 2 cruisers here. We have patrollers in the Central Pacific, all of the 127 cruisers, all of the 444 battleships, all of the 118 cruisers, and just 1 aircraft carrier here. We have 4 cruisers coming in on speed roll, and of the 4 that made it in, only Kitakima is the only one that made it in after the speed roll. So the rest of these are raiders. And then we have raiders all up here. This one has 1 damage to it. And then up here in Japan, we have all raiders up here that are left here. And these are all the new aircraft carriers that came in, plus 1 old one here. The Marine with 3. And of course the damaged air flute right there. So let's see how I respond with my patrollers. Alright, so here was my response with my patrollers, and I must say rather weak, but we'll continue. So over here I have a British battleship in the Bay of Bengal. Take care of that. I have this battleship, gonna try and speed roll into Indonesia. I have a cruiser in there already. That battleship on the speed roll did not make the speed roll, so it became a raider. So only 1 ship here as a patroller. In the Marianas, I have 2 cruisers coming in as patrollers, 1 battleship coming in, and after the speed roll, it did not make it either. So it is also a raider. So again, rather weak here. In the South Pacific here, I have 1 cruiser that's in here, and I have a battleship that's going to try and make a speed roll here, the California. It did not, so it became a raider also. In the Marshall Islands, I had 1 cruiser here, 127 cruiser, and I had 2 battleships coming in, and the North Carolina made it, while the Arizona did not, so it became a raider also. Up here in the North Pacific, I have the Quincy in here, just a single cruiser, and then the Tennessee went to make a speed roll, and it actually succeeded. So I have 2 patrollers there. Everything else went to raiders. Now, why did I not put out more patrollers than that? I have no idea actually what my thinking was back then, but especially considering the low number of raiders that could actually get any place here. I'm not sure why I kept that so low. This is very vulnerable. This is vulnerable right here, because I can bring in some aircraft there, but so can he. He can bring in aircraft here. I cannot. So, you know, it's kind of a spot that I may lose here. The Marshall's same way. He can bring in an aircraft there. I cannot. Oops, let's bring this back on over there. So that was a rather weak showing there. I should have had an aircraft carrier, a couple aircraft carriers maybe, and you know, from here, and a couple more battleships. But anyway, that was my response. So let's see what my opponent did as far as LBAs. Okay, so we're going to jump right into all of the Marines and the LBAs. Now, normally, as you know, the Japanese player places all their LBAs, the Allies play all their LBAs, and the Japanese player plays all their Marines or invasion force, and then the Americans play them, but I just put them all out just to speed things up a little bit here. So my opponent here put Sasebo here in Central America. He kept Yokosa right there, and then he put Kure right there in the South Pacific. Now I came in with my 2nd Marines. I believe they came from here right to there. Then I also placed another Marine, the 1st Marine up here in the North Pacific. And I kept my 4th Marine there at Samoa. So I think that was a mistake. I think later on I ended up moving it because I forgot about him, but I'll show you that when I finally do move it. As for the land-based air, my opponent placed 3 of his land-based air here in Central Pacific. He placed the 113 damage here in Indonesia. And that was it. That was all of them that he had. Then for my land base, I put the 1 land-based area here in Bay of Bengal. I put land-based here in the Coral Sea to keep that flag. U.S. mandates, I put 1 to keep that flag. I put 3 here in the Hawaiian Islands in case he decided to get funny with that stuff there. And that's pretty much the only other place I had was South Pacific, and I ended up putting 4 of them in South Pacific there. Now I only have 1 island that is sort of protected, so this guy could land there and knock that off, but I'm hoping to get enough guys here to just wipe that guy out no matter whether it's day or night. Once I keep this turn and this one this turn, Guadalcanal will automatically come to me. Then I'll have 2 there, and that'll be pretty secure at that point. So that's it for our land-based air placements and our invasion forces. So let's move on to my opponent's raider turn. All right, so let's take a look at the raiders that went out by the Imperial Japanese Navy. We have the Juno went over here. We had 4 117 carrier or 4 117 cruisers over into the North Pacific, along with the Taio in the North Pacific aircraft carrier. And the only other place that the raiders went, the rest of the raiders were all down here in Central Pacific. So John is trying to hold the Central Pacific right here. He doesn't want an easy access alleyway right there. He knows that it's going to take me at least 1 turn to get these, and then I have no place to base anything, so it's going to be kind of hard getting into the Japanese islands here. So let's see how I respond with my raiders. Okay, so let's see where I moved all of my raiders here. So up here in Indonesia, I threw 3 aircraft carrier up here from Laos, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 battleships here, also from Laos. All of my cruisers went up here, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 cruisers went up there. From Samoa, I went through here and here, and I have 2 battleships here. Well, actually 4 battleships, and 1, 2, 3, 4 aircraft carrier up in this area, and that's hopefully that my Marines can land here, take that ore here, and that's going to give me access to Japanese island. Left everything alone down here. This, I believe, now looking back, is a critical mistake, because I placed all of these ships here, even if they're able to capture Dutch Harbor and I'm able to land here, I can't get over to the Japanese island. There's just no way I can get across to it. I have to stop here. I'm also hemmed in by here. So most likely I'm going to go back to Pearl Harbor or all the way over to someplace over here. Indonesia is not going to flip, so I can't put them here. So this sort of hemmed in a large force to this side. Now it's not a bad thing because they can come in here. I understand that, but I can't get to Japanese island, which is the main idea that I should have been concentrating on. But back then, this is my first time going out into the world here with these things. And then my I-boats, I put here because this is a target-rich environment. So I figured I might as well shoot something here, and we'll see what exactly I took off after. But that is my Raiders and my response to the Imperial Japanese Navy. So our next thing will be order and preferences, day and night, and then combat. Okay, so now that we've seen where everybody's set up, let's do our first order of battle here. And this will be the Imperial Japanese Navy. And we'll start out in Indonesia here. So in Indonesia, I believe I first showed you that there was air float here, but actually there was a Marine here. So this Marine, as a result, my opponent would rather have these three aircraft carriers attack it rather than all of these battleships here. So there's a lot of points there. So he wanted a day action here. I, of course, wanted a night action. And the dice favored my opponent with a day action with a +1. So he had 5 and I had 3. So we have a day action. Second battle was in the South Pacific. The Allies again wanted a night action. And the Imperial Japanese Navy wanted a day action. So the reason he wanted day action is all he had was this invader here. And he'd rather take just the 6 shots from these guys rather than all of these shots that would happen here. But then he'd also had a bunch there. So there was no good bad for him. But in the final, we ended up with a day action here, which of course he has nothing to go on to. So we'll go to the third battle in the area. That's up here in the Marianas. And I wanted a night action because I didn't want to deal with this guy. My opponent wanted a day action there. And this time the dice roll favored the Allies. We ended up with a night action. So on the night action, my opponent knew that I was going to be firing at this guy right here. Whoops, let me flip him back on over. Knew I'd be firing at the Juno here. So he took a shot at one of my 2 cruisers there and completely missed it with his 1. So nothing happened here. Our last battle was up in the North Pacific Ocean. My opponent wanted a day action. The Americans wanted a night action. The result was a night action. Now, if you're asking yourself, why did my opponent want a day action? The only thing I can think of is that he wanted to take a shot at the Marine here to get rid of him so that he couldn't invade Stubbs Harbor and have a place for me to port everything to. Although really wasn't necessary. Well, of course, he's going to lose this next turn, so that would allow me free reign to come right into here. So he wanted day action because then he could directly attack the Marine. Now, because of the night action, he has to go through all of my screening ships first before he can attack the Marine here. So most likely he's going to try and go for these 2 to get rid of them. So my opponent had 2 shots at the Tennessee and 2 shots at the Quincy. The Tennessee suffered 3 damage but was not sunk or sent back. However, the Quincy was disabled, so that's going to be going back to port, so that was a good move for him. So if any of these guys survive, obviously he's going to attack the Tennessee again, but let's see what happens with them. So on my first round of attacks back, there was nothing that happened here in Indonesia because day action, the Marine couldn't do anything. All of my ships, all of my aircraft carriers attacked with 12 bonus points. And needless to say, we got the 1 extra damage to sink Sabo. Next battle was here in South Pacific. And of course, I have all of my aircraft here, which is 4 of them, plus these 3 aircraft carriers right here attacking this 1 lone Marine. I mean, I'd feel sorry if I was that Marine there. But Kura was sunk. In the Marianas, Juno had missed, but now all of my battleships and cruisers attacked Juno. And Juno went down to the bottom of the sea rather rapidly. And just to show you that you never know what could happen, in this North Pacific, when I fired back, I was able to sink this cruiser right here, disabled the aircraft carrier so it was able to come back, disabled this cruiser, and disabled this cruiser, leaving this cruiser to stay here, and if they got a night action again, another shot to prevent me from retaining control of this area. But the Marine now can invade. So after cleanup, we take the Marine off the board there. He goes for turn 9 if we should do that, but we're not. Kura in South Pacific, he also goes to turn 9. And in the Marianas, Juno is eliminated off the board. And over here, these disabled ships, they all come up to Japan. The sunk ship is sent to the graveyard. And the aircraft carrier also comes up to Japan here to fight again. My disabled ship went back down to Pearl Harbor. And the Tennessee is holding fast here. Round 2 combat in the North Pacific. My opponent again got a night action. Took a shot at Tennessee, missed. And then everything that I had left, took a shot at this one. And needless to say, that one was sunk. Finally, so I avoided a close call there. And my Marines also invaded Dutch Harbor, which flips that on over. And he will move on over there. So now it's flags. So flags. Bay of Bengal remains ally. Indian Ocean, nobody controls. Indonesia flips to ally control. Japanese island, firmly in Imperial Japanese control. Mariana Islands flips to ally control, and the Marines land in the Philippines. Philippines convert to U.S. control or ally control. Coral Sea remains in allied control. U.S. mandate remains in allied control. Marshall Islands remains in allied control. So as a result, these flip over to U.S. control. And also, Guadalcanal flipped over to U.S. control, which I don't think I showed you. Central Pacific, which I did not show you, my I boat actually made an attack, but it totally whiffed. So it missed, and it based back in Pearl. So Central Pacific remains in Imperial Japanese Navy control. The Aleutian Islands belongs to no one, which is good because that gives me a free run into Japanese island. And after 2 rounds of battle, I retained control of North Pacific Ocean, and my Marine invaded last turn, so we got that. And of course, last but not least, Hawaiian Islands firmly remains in Allied control. So that concludes turn number 7. Okay, so as you're seeing, we are going to move this to 10 and this over to 11. So I'm sitting at 11. Hopefully I can do this. We'll see. Okay, let me share our basing here. My opponent left most of his ships in the Central Pacific. He left here. He did bring some of the aircraft carrier here and the battleships he brought over back into Japan. He also got 2 more land-based aircraft here as his reinforcements. They came on the last turn. And he also received 2 aircraft carrier here for the last turn reinforcements. So that was his force there. I received a Marine, came back, and I just put him down in Australia. Not much I can do with him. If I had controlled maybe Saigon and Singapore, I could have put him there and come in, but I don't know that that would have helped anything. And I also got a group of reinforcements. I got another Marine here, the 5th Marine, and some more battleships. And the cruiser, of course, I retreated back to here when it was disabled. All the stuff that was in the North Pacific, I just put right up here at Dutch Harbor. Everything that was the Marshall Islands, I landed in these 2 islands here. Everything that was in South Pacific, I went to, what is that, Laos? Laos right there, went to Laos. Everything that was in the Mariana Islands and Indonesia all went to the Philippines right here. And of course, again, if I would have taken this a turn earlier, the British had to go all the way back here. Otherwise, they could have ported here. Actually, the one that was here, I probably could have put right in the Philippines. I mean, the 2 guys that were here, I could have easily put in the Philippines, which is probably what I should have done. But not realizing all of the rules yet, I brought them back here. Anyway, on to turn 8. Okay, everybody, so that was turn 7. And, you know, I didn't do as well as I wanted to, but I did bring him back down to 11, so I'm feeling good about that. If I take the entire board, I get 13 points. So that's what I'm dealing with right now. But I think I did okay. I'm still learning. This is my first practice game that John Sharp gave me the first tutorial game, I would call it that, where we went through each stage and he talked about what the most likely attacks were going to be, how to defend against them and stuff. And I retained some of that, but not all. So after that first game was done, we decided to play another practice game where he was just going to come at me and, you know, show me the ropes through fire. But I don't think I did too bad. At least I'm going into turn 8 with a chance to win. Is it likely? We'll find out very soon. I do apologize for taking so long to get this to you. Things happened and I couldn't get the turn 7 to you as quickly as I like. I had a few people in the comments asking when it was coming out again. So here it is. And if you do like what I'm doing, please do like and subscribe. Hopefully around for the last installment of Victory in the Pacific, turn number 8, where the Allies try to take over the entire Pacific Ocean. And hopefully I can do that. But the only way you're going to know is by being here. Thanks for watching this one. Take care.